do a Q&A. Hi, thank you all for coming. I hope you've been enjoying yourself and that you've had a chance to look at the photography down here, the Humble Arts, Aileen Smithson, and Maxine Helfman work, and that you've gone upstairs to see the work there as well. I'm Stella Kramer. I'm a photo editor and photography consultant. And today we're going to listen to Maurus Fraser, the creative director of Winkreative, and he's going to talk about branding, about photography, and about what he does. Tonight is the opening of the Flash Forward Group Show exhibition, which is upstairs, starts at 7 o'clock, and you're all invited. Please bring your friends. I want to welcome our live stream audience. Hi there, thanks for coming. And I hope that you'll tell your friends and your family and everyone you know to come down and look at the work and come and sit through the panels and the talks and enjoy yourself. If there's anything that we can do for you, let us know. I'd like to specifically thank our sponsors, TD Bank, who supported Flash Forward since its inception, and the Fairmont Battery Wharf, who've been lovely to give us the space, and they've been wonderful and helpful, and I want to thank them specifically. Maurus Fraser, the creative director of Winkreative, which is based in the UK, branding a creative powerhouse behind Monocle. He'll discuss the organization's philosophy as it relates to photography and art direction for prestigious international clients, including Facebook, Porter Airlines, Prada, and Stella McCartney. We'll have a Q&A at the end, so please save your questions for that. Maurus is a dual citizen of Britain and Switzerland and has been with Winkreative since 2001 and heads up the internationally acclaimed creative team alongside Winkreative CEO Tyler Brûlé. In his position as creative director, Fraser oversees all of the agency's creative output and conceives original solutions for a range of brands in sectors including publishing, aviation, technology, fashion, and finance. A graduate with an MA in graphic design and art direction from the Royal College of Art in London, Fraser started his career with a graphic design apprenticeship in the Zurich headquarters of Migros. Oh boy. How do I pronounce it? Okay, no, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. My German is not up to speed. His first job was with the prestigious New York-based agency, Nice, where he led the design operations for Elizabeth Arden and Valentino. On his return to London, he established the London outpost of the digital agency ID Media before moving to Winkreative. Throughout his career, Fraser has overseen, commissioned, and worked internationally with an array of talented and experienced photographers, covering disciplines from editorial to fashion, portraits, beauty, still life, landscape, interior, architecture, and cars. His work has been recognized by D&AD, ADC Deutschland, Design Week, and Creative Review. He has received 2 Clio Awards. Without further ado, Maurus Fraser.
Thank you very much. It's a Migros Genossenschafts-Bund. That's the. Yeah, thank you for inviting me here. I mean, it's a real kind of honor and a pleasure to kind of be able to kind of talk about my work and our work as a company in front of some talent here in Boston, and I'm sure from all over the world. So. It's yeah, very exciting. And as far as photographers are concerned, and my work with photographers is that photographers tend to be some of the most generous and very well-meaning, good people that understand how to kind of communicate in general and fantastic stories. So it's great to be here with you. I think I'd like to kind of just start off. I mean, I think that was a very long introduction for me, but I'd just like to kind of go through the idea of photography with branding, and how branding and photography need to work in harmony ultimately for a good branding message to work and to communicate the brand values of companies and ambitions of companies. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about how the storytelling of brands is key. Also, how we kind of build connections and understanding with customers and with our target audience and so on through photography and through the messages, and ultimately kind of creating aspiration and inspiration on behalf of brands, and that's one of the functions that we work with. So this is kind of ultimately how I'm going to be filling the next hour. So I'll be talking a little bit about Winkreative and something about producing Monocle magazine, and then I'm just going to divide things a little bit into some of our recent work with regards to branding, and then taking things back into photography and branding specifically, and going again through specific projects. So this is a big text slide, but bear with me. So Winkreative, a bit of history about us. So we were founded in 1998 by Tyler Brûlé, and as a part of Wallpaper magazine. It was in response to advertisers' demands for bespoke solutions. So ultimately, we would be able to have conversations with incredible brands who wanted to advertise in Monocle in Wallpaper magazine, and then we would offer solutions to them, and we would suggest that ultimately aiming a piece of advertising through the magazine, we understood the target audience very well, and so Winkreative kind of came and stepped up to the mark to provide those solutions. We're an independent branding, design and publishing company headquartered in Zurich, with offices in New York, Toronto, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and our operational bases in Midori House in London. We're working across an array of sectors, which I think we were explaining earlier, as aviation, finance, fashion, retail, technology, arts and culture, and destination branding. Today, we're a team of around 40 multilingual staff, made up of designers, art buyers, copywriters, and project managers. And we currently have about 32 active projects in 16 countries, but who's counting? And this is this is Midori House. This is our new headquarters in London, and we've been here for about a year and a half now. And it's wonderful. We have one floor which is dedicated to a Monocle magazine, which I'll explain in a moment, and then we have another floor which is the Winkreative floor, and then we have kind of meeting rooms and some offices on the top floor as well. And then the ground floor level, we have a new radio studio which we've just opened up as part of Monocle magazine. In February 2007, I mean, Monocle magazine is our sister company. It was ultimately born from Winkreative in a similar way that Winkreative was born from Wallpaper magazine. I mean, it was the vision of Tyler Brûlé, and he really kind of just managed to kind of bring this new perspective and this new magazine concept to us, and it was really kind of an opportunity for us as an agency to kind of really put our money where our mouth is. We believe in photography. We talk to clients about messages they should make, what countries they should be working in, how they should sell their goods, all of the perspectives that brands and all the touch points that brands really need to consider, and we do it in a way that we thoroughly believe in, and Monocle magazine is a great example of what we want to, what we advise our clients ultimately. It's an international briefing on current affairs, business, culture and design. It's published 10 times a year, and it's a global media brand, becoming into a big kind of global media brand, combining print, web and broadcasting ultimately. It's distributed in, so this is the cover, it's distributed in over 65 countries. There's a global network of correspondents. We have 5 bureaus. It's just going a little bit into the format of the book. It's bookish. It's a magazine, but it's bookish. It's portable, tactile. There's no kind of celebrity culture involved in this. It's authentic, real stories. And we want it to be kind of something that's collectible. I think that's a great ambition for anything. I mean, any kind of publication is that somebody wants to keep these volumes and constantly refer back to them. So this is and it's very much from an international perspective. If we go to, so this is the other side of it, which is monocle.com, which we look at the internet as being something that's not necessarily taking over from print, and we're not necessarily threatened by it because we embrace it, and monocle.com is really a kind of a place for us to kind of broadcast the ideas of Monocle magazine, and it's something that enhances the magazine experience. So it's not kind of, it's designed in a very kind of bite-sized chunks. We have a lot of video, and there's this kind of very simple kind of black background. So it's perfect for not just the branding, but it's something that's a great kind of background for presenting video. And so we've kind of been rolling with that. And last year, I think I was mentioning earlier, we launched Monocle 24, which is an around-the-clock radio service broadcasting from Midori House. And just coming back to Winkreative, so a kind of core areas of business. I mean, as a branding, design, publishing company, we cover brand strategy, corporate identity, packaging and product design, architecture and interiors, broadcast solutions, publishing, website design, advertising, intelligence reports. I mean, these are all areas that we enjoy and we're stimulated by, and they all come together to kind of create a full picture for most brands. But sometimes there are certain points that we come into projects that lead us into one area or another. But ultimately, this is our kind of complete package. So I'm going to go through a series of work. Starting with the kind of a core branding view or perspective to branding, with some brief applications that we've done in our work. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about each of these projects, but they are good examples of our kind of branding kind of ethos as far as design and branding. So just looking at the idea of kind of we always want to kind of we go into a project wanting to create an enduring brand. We have this journalistic approach, which is key to the way that we think about our work, and it's to do with pace, it's to do with research and understanding our clients. We ultimately, companies come to us to elevate themselves, to maybe take themselves to the next tier of whatever business they're in. And so that's a very strong part of the premium positioning, generating value. Any time we engage in a project, we want to kind of, we want to enhance a brand. If there's a brand that's it's not broken, then we want to kind of, you can still fix certain things. You can still grow, and I think we work towards those ideas of generating value. We look at everything from a global perspective because our team is incredibly global, and also all of our locations. We have this kind of collaborative approach, which is really where photography gets involved, as well as filmmakers and writers and other designers. But the collaboration is key to our kind of our offer, really. Just that you know, we come up with concepts, and if there's a right filmmaker to work on something, or the perfect photographer, we'll put those forward to our clients and make sure that we get the right story for each individual client. Craft is important. We like to think of ourselves as a team of kind of artisans working away in our studio. You know, we're all obsessed with typography and photography and illustration and the visual world in general, as well as traveling and design and objects. So I think you know, we're all together in this kind of crafted kind of environment. And then we have of course, any kind of brand needs to really be aware of the full kind of cross-platform communication. That anything that you create, any brand that you create nowadays, really needs to be fit for purpose. It needs to work across, being, you know, on the internet, or if it's going to be an app, and so on. So just as an example for what I was saying about creating enduring brands, this is the aim is always, and the ambition is always, to create a timeless aesthetic. I think that's one of the toughest things to kind of to really kind of crack. And you know, no one wants to kind of create a brand that's only here today and then kind of gone tomorrow. And so it's really in our kind of blood to kind of push any brand. And anybody that comes to us is you know, this isn't just a fad or a trend. Any identity that we come to them with, it needs to work across time and space. So we have this is a good example. The Stella McCartney logo, which we designed about 12 years ago, and obviously is a very successful brand today. The journalistic approach, understanding our clients' needs and ambitions. We really need to kind of get under the skin of what they want to do and who they are. And so we're learning every step of the way from our clients. You know, be it in finance or in aviation, because each client has its own slant on business and how they want to communicate, and that's you know, that's what keeps us excited and keeps us engaged. So I think just talking about Monocle, just saying how Monocle really kind of is a good example of our kind of putting ourselves forward and really kind of, you know, researching everything that we do, and ultimately coming up with a strong kind of point of view. We don't just kind of sit there and come up with solutions that we don't believe in. So delivering a premium position, you know, most clients like to kind of aim high when they come to talk to us. The premium position really kind of encourages growth. And there's this is one example that we've recently done for the hotelier Andre Bellars, who really kind of he's obviously got the standard range of hotels, and he's opened the one in New York recently. But this he thought that it would be good to go into the aviation sector, and we really kind of embraced the opportunity to work with him on this, and so he really wanted us to kind of engage on how he should. How the livery should work, but it was still a chance for his brand to kind of take a step up, and that's you know, just moving into aviation is such a brave move, and this is a very kind of a luxury charter plane. This is a Cesana amphibian plane, and it's flying from Manhattan to the Hamptons every sort of 45 minutes at the weekends. And it is really kind of generating value. So just coming back to generating value, building aspiration, and just telling stories ultimately help us kind of to educate the consumer or the target group for a brand. This is an example that we did for a Macintosh brand. This is the original Macintosh brand, who genuinely make Macintoshes, and they've gone in. There was a time of kind of probably 20 years of stagnation, and they've recently been bought by a company in Japan, and so we helped them kind of relaunch last year, and the story that we really kind of felt like we wanted to show them was this kind of classic, coming back to the classic British heritage brand. You know, everything's made in Scotland. This is a piece of education. It's the craftsmanship that's involved in the garments. It's the materials. It's not just here's a smart jacket in front of you. We really wanted to kind of allow this kind of story to breathe and to kind of come to life again. Going into the global perspective, just as you can see, these are our locations. I was just saying London, New York, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Toronto. But really, this global perspective is inspired. It inspires us as a team because we're traveling extensively. Approximately 95% of our work is outside of the UK, and that's where the creative team is based. So we are on planes regularly, but it's a very exciting place because we get to see the world. Very much like photographers in a way. I mean, that's one of the most incredible things about the way that photography works and how photographers are. Is just this awareness, this kind of global awareness and countrywide awareness that is really, which is kind of something that we thrive off on as a team. We're not just designers sitting in an office, kind of waiting for someone to tell us to do something. We're always proactively out there and looking at everything we can and consuming as much as we can, and so that kind of informs our opinions. Keeps us all very kind of globally aware as well, and we're kind of connected, and we're always so you can see our list of correspondence is very much kind of works with the same correspondence that the Monocle team has, and this kind of looking for talent. We're constantly looking for good talent wherever, so good photographers. We're not kind of I think there's times are changing at the moment. We're not necessarily flying photographers from one side of the planet to the other. It's always good to kind of find talented photographers in local areas, and so that's something that we're much more conscious of, trying to be aware of local talent for photographers. Collaboration is key to everything that we do. So we're looking at how we kind of generate these stories. So working with fantastic photographers, designers, architects, animators, and filmmakers, we get to kind of tell the story that we want. This is a still life kind of advertising campaign that we did for BlackBerry about a year and a half ago, and it was it was for the Touch, the Torch phone, which they just brought out, which was the white version that came out that time, and this was running. It was a double-page spread and a few single pages in the Monocle Alpino magazine, and we really kind of wanted to kind of have this winter effect, winter concept. And we drew this concept, sketched it up, and thought this is great. It's going to show this intimacy of this winter, environment. It's going to have, there's no wires. It's a kind of an escape from the world. But the only kind of digital equipment that you need is your phone, and that's it's very simple. And you can communicate. You can find everything. You can take photographs of your family and things, and it's all there. And you can have a fantastic holiday as well, or a fantastic break, or even if you live there, that's even better. So we sketched this up and got the cost together for flying a team out to the Tyrol and shooting in the mountains, and so we ran the costs by the client, and obviously that it didn't quite work out. So we had to be a little bit more creative with how we were going to create this, and this we actually worked in a studio in Hoxton in East London. We built the set, this beautiful kind of wooden walls. We got this fantastic oak table, where this amazing stylist Kaiko, who's working with Jason Hindley, the photographer here, who found some beautiful objects. We got these Fukasawa chairs. We've got this antler on the side, and then you can just see there's the first. This is the first reveal of the BlackBerry playbook, which was a long time before it actually launched. So we were hoping that it was going to be launching a little bit earlier than that, but it didn't quite happen. And then there's the this sense of coziness was very important. And then on the back page of the Alpino, we had more of a kind of a reveal of the playbook itself, and just getting a teaser of the fact that it's going to be coming out with a camera. This was before the iPad 2 came out. So, but then the iPad 2 did come out. The hand model. This was. I mean, it was a fascinating experience working with the hand model. She came in and said that she was the hands for Kate Moss, apparently. So you kind of wonder what Kate Moss's hands really look like, but she was. But it was a treat to kind of have her, even though she was walking around with her hands up and in rubber gloves most of the time, to make sure that they were perfect. Also, with regards to collaborators, this is a good example of a recent project we did for Persol in Italy. Persol is a luxury kind of Italian handcrafted sunglasses brand. They kind of worn by Steve McQueen in the 1960s and things, and they're beautiful glasses in general. And we were tasked to kind of come up with this story where it was an affinity between Italy and America, and we created this character called Mr. Persol, who really is kind of just, this is a year in the life of Mr. Persol. It's just a quick trip where we see all of the kind of key moments of his year and where he's been traveling, and we worked with this Los Angeles-based illustrator Kevin Dart and a French-based animator Stéphane Caudel. And I can just show you the film now. So this was A Year of Sun with Mr. Persol. To be Mr. Persol. So, I mean, he even makes clip-ons look fantastic. And we found a reason to wear sunglasses in the evening with the fireworks, so that was our nice kind of play for the day. Another kind of collaboration, working with architects, this was in Kuwait, kind of a luxury department store, where we work with Eldred Smerin on the kind of interior and exterior landscaping. Talking about craft, this is just kind of touching on the kind of the ideas of how we envisage our process, and how our clients kind of want to achieve what they want, because ultimately there's a sense of craft and a in aspiration and trying to build a brand a little bit, taking it to another level. There's always a story to be told about the element of craft, and this is one example. We worked with Swiss International Airlines. We rebranded from Swiss Air into Swiss, and I mean, we just went into extreme amounts of detail on this project. There was this kind of the Swiss side of it was very important. And so, we were inspired by the sense of kind of the root and typography of Swiss communication heritage, and really kind of taking this kind of Swissness back to Switzerland, and making it a real kind of proud moment for the nation. But then it was a key kind of attention to detail was kind of an understatement. But we ended up with a 500-page guideline book that we gave to the brand management staff there when we finished after about 4 years of work. But it's so this is just a typeface example that we created for the brand, which was for all of the advertising and so on, called CH Sands. Cross-platform communication. This is a little teaser. I'm going to go into more detail about the Reporter magazine later. Obviously, Porter is a brand that we've been working with for a long time, and we helped kind of when they were starting up, and we worked on the names, advertising, and kind of all-encompassing. It was very exciting and fruitful relationship, and it still goes on. So I think just understanding all of the cross-platform sort of touch points is important to how brands can communicate. And just, you know, if you're creating a logo, you need to understand that it's going to be on an app somewhere potentially. If you're using photography, it's good to understand that, you know, maybe it's going to be landscape as well as portrait, and, you know, it kind of throws in some other kinds of issues along the way. So we're all becoming a lot more kind of greedy with how we kind of how we create our media. So, you know, even with regards to being a little bit more kind of forward-thinking with photography and filmmakers, you know, trying to do things simultaneously if there are moments that we can capture and so on, so that we can take stories into video as well as photography. So it's just, I think, just something to be very aware of, and that's something that's at the base of anything that we think about at the moment. And just here looking at the monocle radio that we've launched, and there's a website for Sal Lourenço Barracal, which is a property development in Portugal that we've been working on, and this is an iPhone app that we did for Mykonos. Which takes me into these kind of a few kind of more photographic led projects that we've been working with recently. So look at, I mean, these are some selected pieces. I could go on endlessly about each of these projects, and I might bore you on the last one a little bit longer than most of them. But it's the really kind of engaging clients and engaging concepts that really kind of the photography. Without photography, these things wouldn't be able to kind of communicate in the way that they have, and how successful they are. So this is just touching on. This is a brand. It was a new ski brand, ski and snowboard fashion brand, based in New York, with an emphasis on extreme performance and high style. This is kind of high performance sportswear, but really they kind of wanted to capture an urban aesthetic, and I mean, we worked with Mark Daniels and Sebastian Lucrecio, who we really kind of defined the look and feel after we'd kind of worked on the core elements of the branding itself. It's an emerging brand, so it needed to have a very strong kind of visual direction. It's kind of winter outerwear, and it's got to have this urban aesthetic. I mean, working on the corporate identity, we also took it through to the website and the first kind of lookbook for the brand. So just looking at the logo type, I mean, in a very kind of simple explanation, you can see we looked at the word Isora, and really it just lent itself to being broken into two words, because we were struggling to kind of say it in one word, and so it just really kind of rolled off the tongue a little bit better when we stacked it. Then this kind of the A shape kind of crystallized, and we saw this form, kind of, you know, the slope of a mountain, this dynamic kind of movement that's kind of maybe kind of arrowing kind of downwards, but it's all kind of subliminally in there, in kind of wrapped up in this very kind of simple logo type, and then taking out certain elements from the A's. You can just see the arrow element that's been pulled into the snowflake mark that we created for them on the right-hand side. And how we kind of worked with Sebastian on the photography. I mean, we really wanted to kind of the actual garments themselves and the design of the garments was so kind of refined and clean that it really kind of lended itself to working in this kind of black and white format. Even the actual most of the garments that they were designing were essentially in black and white as well, so that kind of simplified things. But it was good to kind of to make the clothing the hero of this work and of this photography. And then we have this very relaxed kind of attitude, this quiet sort of confidence in the model. And it was really kind of just trying to capture these moments within the studio with Sebastian. So this is just looking at the first page with the broadsheet. It was a very large kind of broadsheet format, so you could see all the detail in the fabric on the photographs. It's very confident. We wanted to kind of push this established kind of feel. It's a very kind of honest and true kind of aesthetic. Then going into another page again, just looking at her, showing her kind of individuality. Again, it's the fabrics and the textures, and just being able to see the detail on the large format print was really good. And then just kind of juxtaposing that with Mark, who is the CEO, of Isora. He genuinely flies up into the Colorado mountains and has shoots, gets dropped in the middle of nowhere and takes a series of photographs. And we didn't really know this, and we were giving lots of ideas of different kinds of photographers that we'd like to work with on the kind of epic landscape stuff in the mountains. And then he showed us his portfolio of photography and some of the incredible pictures that he's taken in these extreme environments. And really these landscapes just jumped out, and they really kind of helped us tell the story of the other side, from the urban side to this kind of the much more taking you up into the mountain and the extreme world that the brand needs to kind of inhabit to kind of tell that story. So we used his pictures. And then again, kind of taking back into this relaxed, effortless, casual look. Fabrics with the matte and the gloss, just the black and white format really kind of stood out. And again, just showing the forms, incredible forms, iconic forms of the actual garments themselves. And you could even see the kind of the weave on the garments and things when you saw it printed. Which kind of, and then again another one of Mark's shots. Coming down the mountain. I mean, they've got this. They had this kind of idea where they measured their happiness in inches of snow, and this really just kind of it's this single track in the snow. Even though it's not only snowboarders, but they really kind of were born from snowboarding and had this appreciation of just seeing one single line going down from an extreme peak as being the aesthetic for the brand, and just seeing how that works online. Much more recently, about a month and a half ago, we've been shooting in Thailand. The government of Thailand they were preparing to host the World Economic Forum on East Asia, which was held last month, and the Thailand government approached us to promote the country's assets, their main assets, and also the kind of ambitious plans for the growth of the country itself. It's this kind of we've really kind of locked into this untold story of Thailand. It's not just they really want to push themselves, and they are already, but they just need the rest of the world to appreciate the fact that Thailand is becoming a kind of a global business hub, and they just need to kind of not just be the beautiful beaches that they have, and you know, it's not just the story of the tuk-tuks and the you know, elephant tours and things. It's very much you know, a country kind of grounded and now in incredibly successful growth potential for the country at the moment. And so really the story comes back to how they want to show the kind of their cutting edge technology and the fact that they're a powerful international player. We've kind of created this approach and this identity for them, which was launched last month, and it's capturing Thailand's modern spirit, revealing a progressive outlook and a sense of kind of national pride. So here, just to kind of touch on the logo type, because this was the first time the logo type was used, was on this double page spread ad, and which was running in the Financial Times and in the International Herald Tribune, as well as in Monocle magazine, and so it's all kind of, this is all being published as we speak. So working with Felix Brüggemann, a German photographer, we took him out to Thailand, and we wanted to capture this sense of scale, this sense of achievement that they have, and being able to kind of, we had to kind of craft the story a little bit, but you know, here for example, this is our you know, this is the epic shot. It's very much capturing the light and the color of Thailand. It's beautifully kind of steeped in this incredible nature. The light is very special out there, and it's something that we really wanted to kind of capture in the imagery, because actually some of the imagery itself wouldn't necessarily you know, intuitively say Thailand. So even the logo itself, we've gone for a very kind of bold logo type, which just hints back to some of the kind of Thai influence, but it has these very subtle typographic plays that just bring you back to this Thailand. It's replacing a pretty kind of wispy logo that they had before, which was Amazing Thailand. So now we've got this look. This is the growing industries concept. We have a farmer. He's in the middle of a rice field with his iPad. He is the farmer. We kind of walked him out into this position so that we could get the scale of his work, and it's this sense of scale that really is the strongest part of the ad, where we're talking about, you know, Thailand being the world's largest exporter of rice, and also the world's largest producer of hard disk drives. A real kind of image of a modern Thailand. I mean, he's not, you know, this is a very kind of confident farmer. He's got his cowboy hat on. He's telling the right story. Even this shot from a kind of this is in the concept was driving the future, and this is in a Mitsubishi factory, and it's just stunning when you see the scale of the factory. It just goes on, and you know, this is, you know, the clinical precision and efficiency that's normally kind of, you know, you associate with Germany and, you know, parts of, you know, Munich and things, and this is, you know, this is a modern Thailand image. This is, you know, looking at we're saying driving the future. It's very much, we're showing the concept or the idea that we found out, which is the Thailand is now the world's top producer of eco cars, working for Honda, Mitsubishi, and Suzuki. So this is just, it's telling such a big story, and really the logo needs to be very bold in this statement, but it needs to kind of, it's enhancing the ultimate power of this surprising image. And this is a shot where Felix kind of climbed to the top of this turret on this incredible bridge, and again you can just see the light and the way that we've captured this mist, this magical light within Thailand, and it's really kind of it's really just in Thailand that you can kind of get this ambient. So being able to kind of capture that in the camera was so important, and this sense of scale. So here we're talking about building bridges and how Thailand is investing $74 billion in infrastructure at the moment, and they're building roads, high-speed train networks, and bridges. And this is a shot from the same bridge network, and this is just shot from underneath. You have this beautiful kind of tranquil park, which is just, I mean, it looks like a kind of a fantasy world. It's just beautiful. And there's someone sitting there in the red, kind of contemplating and resting. And then this is a shot that Felix took from the top of a crane. And this is just showing an incredibly kind of powerful port. It's the Laem Changbang port. I think that's Chabang port, and it's one of the world's busiest seaports. And so it's just these are the images that really are unusual for Thailand. I'd like to kind of also, there's a project which we've been working on for a while, and I'm just going to touch on briefly, but it's a very thorough photography brief that we've been working with American Express, and specifically the American Express Open brand, which is their small to medium-sized business card that actually works across all of the credit cards that they have. This has allowed us to kind of pretty much, while we've been generating a photo library that's going to be used or is used for kind of online marketing and other forms of kind of direct mail and things that they work with, but we're not producing those. That's usually done by another agency. But the photography and the stories that we're telling with the photography and working with the incredible photographers that we do work with, we're traveling across America, because this is only an American card, the open card, and it takes us to very some amazing places and meeting some incredibly real people that are very successful. But it is kind of building this aspiration of wanting to be a successful business owner yourself, and so these stories need to have a sense of reality, and they need to kind of be engaging, and so how you see the person's face, whether they're smiling too much, it looks awkward. If they're raising their hands with joy, it's awkward. There's a real kind of fine balance to kind of creating that authority from the individual, but still a pleasure that they're doing the business that they're doing, and they're enjoying it. This is the book that we did, Open Book, which kind of started off everything for the photo library. Really kind of using these card member stories as endorsements, and that's ultimately what they are and how they work across the American Express advertising. Is that each of these individuals, they've had a card, they've been a card member for a certain amount of time, and they run their business with their cards, and it's just it's a strong part of how they've managed to grow their business. So the Open Book was a practical guide for business growth, and it really kind of just had lots of hints and tips on how to build a successful company. So these card member stories, I mean, they work across the gamut of different cards that American Express have. This is an example of a story. This is a card member story, the Thailand Animal Hospital, and I'm just bringing this one up to the front because it was quite a fascinating and enjoyable, strange experience, where we had a particularly brave photographer, Michael Edwards, involved, kind of going into this animal hospital, and this is a hospital based in Miami, run by Dr. Sharon McIver, who's been a card member since 1982, and she has some fascinating animals going through her surgery every day, and I think we were all very taken aback by the kinds of animals that came through. So kind of just starting here, this is a Labradoodle. I'm sure all of you are very aware of this, but I was very amused when I saw the Labradoodle. which is a kind of a cross Labrador and a poodle, and yeah, so he was a very luckily had a healthy Labradoodle, and then going into this this was an anteater kind of came in with his owner obviously, and then this dog who has no hair. But there were it was just a fascinating kind of world of adventure, kind of walking into this veterinary surgery, and it was quite fun telling her story. And then this was an image which ultimately wasn't actually chosen by the client, but we still think it's a good bit of fun. I think they saw it as being a little bit sensationalist, but it's, you know, this is her daily business. And if we go to so now I'm coming back to something that I touched on earlier, which is Porter Airlines, who are now flying into Boston, and have been for a while now. But this is a project which really kind of has grown and continues to grow for us, and we've been growing at the same time as Porter Airlines have been growing, and it's been a kind of a real kind of collaboration. It's a ground-up strategy, comprehensive design solution to launch a regional aviation brand operating out of the newly reactivated Billy Bishop Toronto City Centre Airport, which used to be just the Toronto City Centre Airport, but now it's the Billy Bishop Toronto City Centre. Yeah. So, and now, so just talking about the offering of a premium experience. I mean, this is what Bob Deleuze came to us with. The ultimate brief was that he was going to set up and start the airport again. He's going to get one Bombardier aircraft, and he needs a brand. He had this understanding that he wanted to offer a premium experience at an accessible price point. It's aimed at the kind of savvy weekend and business travelers. We needed to kind of define a confident new airline. It's the whole story needed to be very confident. The service, convenience of the city centre airport was key, and ultimately this kind of bringing back this kind of a graceful passenger experience, which kind of is the way that pulls you back to this golden age of air travel, when people really looked forward to getting on an airplane, not kind of being hustled around like cattle, as most of us do most of the time. And so, the opportunity that they had was really because they owned the airport. They could create this experience from scratch, and we were really happy to be a part of that, because it's so rare that an airline has a chance to have that effect on an airport. And it's a single class airline with pretty much business as standard, but the prices are very reasonable. So firstly, we kind of started, we needed to kind of come up with a name for the airline. And this, we played around with a lot of different names and kind of fell across the name Porter, and it just rang true in so many ways. I mean, it has all the right connotations of transport with care. It's got the service attitude is perfect. The ideas of efficiency. It works in French and in English, and it's very kind of accessible as well. So it had all of these points covered that we really wanted to cover. It's flying refined, which we just saw as the manifesto for putting some dignity back into air travel, and really they've kind of stood the test of time now. They're kind of 5.5 years old, and it's really it is still a pleasure to fly on Porter, and they make sure it is. The rounded typeface here, just to kind of let you in a little bit onto the logo type. It was, we like the idea of this friendly, accessible element to the brand, but we still have this kind of very confident corporate efficiency, which comes into the layouts of the identity when you see it across other brand touch points, from the website to the magazine. And then just looking at the color palettes, these blues, cool blues, the grays, and then just kind of including this very interesting kind of pop of yellow, which just allows us to kind of have a little bit of accent. But in the early days, we really need to be very strict with our brand, and it needed to be something that it was kind of generating its own kind of its own awareness. So we really wanted people to kind of have a constant understanding of what the brand was and how these things worked and the different touch points. This was the pattern that we designed for the tail fin. Simple kind of concept, just this constant upward movement. And the livery design, I mean, a very understated, handsome aircraft. Almost if he's kind of wearing a tie, we like to think. It's a very new planes. These are brand new Bombardier Q400 turboprop aircraft, which is propeller planes so that they can land in Toronto City Centre Airport, because I think there's certain laws that don't allow jet planes on the island and so on. But it ends up it's the perfect plane, the perfect match for the brand, because it has all of these kind of the right connotations to a more refined experience. Just looking at it in the air and very comfortably sitting practically right in the center of Toronto City. And just some shots of the livery. And we got to work on the interiors of the aircraft as well. Here we kind of introduced some kind of Swiss leather seats, and we got excited about the interiors, and something that we always look at when we're looking at kind of public spaces and interiors that are used by large amounts of people. We're always kind of a little bit kind of surprised, at some concepts that people roll out. I mean, we just naturally like the idea that if it's a space that you're creating, you want to make it a space that's comfortable. Someone's going to want to spend time there, and this is a simple approach to, it's almost like having the idea that if you wouldn't have it in your living room, why would you want to force it on anybody else? It's kind of these are environments that you can welcome people, and you want people to spend time in if it's a branded environment. I mean, I was just on a flight over here from London, going through with Aer Lingus, and I've never flown Aer Lingus before, and I was surprised at the amount of green everywhere, all over the place, and on the seats and the seat covers, the cushions, and it's just green all over the place. And you kind of think, is this the kind of environment that the people that designed this would actually want to be spending their time in? So there's this strange position that people sometimes put themselves in when they're branding something. They just think, let's be really aggressive and remind everyone that the brand is still here, in case you're wondering. You're on the plane. So there are many other touch points. So one of those small points that gets my go a little bit. And of course we have drink in a real glass, which is quite unusual. The uniforms, we collaborated with Pink Tartan, a Toronto-based fashion house, and it just allows the cabin crew to have a sense of dignity. They look good, they're sharp, sophisticated, efficient, and also very approachable as well, building confidence in the staff as well as the customers. Now I'm going to just go into this character that we created for Porter Airlines. He's called Mr. Porter, and he's a raccoon. We like all of the positive connotations that we have with the raccoon. He's quick, he's thrifty, he's aware, smart, strong, and ultimately he's Canadian. The ultimate savvy traveller is where we kind of positioned him at, and he likes to get value for money, but when it comes to service, he won't settle for anything but the best. He's a real he's a bit of a snob in that way. Mr. Porter is our guide to the experience. He informs us of all the aspects of the brand, from the service to the Toronto lounge, to the effortless connection of the city centre airport itself. Now, the real challenge with bringing a raccoon as a character for a brand, especially a Canadian brand based in Toronto, was that ultimately raccoons can be seen as pests, and you know, they're going through trash and things like that, and they're not the most kind of highly regarded of animals, but actually when you're looking at them, you know, people are fascinated by them. They're adorable in their own way, and it's probably tough to say that once you've got a garden, you know, strewn with rubbish, but it's still we saw all of the positive sides, and we really kind of encouraged Porter to kind of to work with the raccoon, because we fell in love with him, and I think everyone since has also come to understand him much more. This is so our original kind of Mr. Porter illustrator, Neil Whittington. He played around with lots of ideas for the raccoon, and I mean, it was he just fell across these eyes, and for some reason we just read this as a raccoon, and it really, you know, it just stood out. I mean, it was, yeah, just looking at those eyes. And then we grew into this kind of, the tail kind of appeared, and this very simple language between Mr. Porter's eyes and his tail, which just grew and grew, and now we've kind of been defining his features much more, even kind of giving him a profile, which you don't see so much in the press advertising. And he becomes, you know, he's someone that we can dress up all the time. You know, here he is eating poutine in Toronto, although I'm not sure why anyone would eat poutine. And then we have shopping in Chicago, and obviously Liberty, and golfing in Myrtle Beach. And he you know, he can take on any guise, an outfit for all occasions. He's you know, the best dressed raccoon in town. Now we have this is like the route map. Now Porter is servicing 19 destinations in Canada and the United States, and it's still moving. And this is the shuttle bus that can get you from Union Station into the city centre airport in I don't know, 5-10 minutes or something. But it's just amazing, the position of the airport itself. You can just go from your airplane to, you know, to the centre of the town, walking it in 10 minutes. It's incredible, and I noticed with Logan here how close we are as well, which is fantastic. It's great to have that facility, especially when you come from London. It just doesn't happen very often. Porter Airlines advertising. So I'll just kind of take you through these kind of key points where we had the kind of these Toronto teaser campaign before. So this was about 5.5 years ago. We kind of had posters throughout Toronto, just kind of teasing towards the new brand kind of launching. And there was just simply his eyes, and now it's his eyes and his tail and his hands. Keep an eye out. There he is, kind of jumping between the seats. Tale of Two Cities, and just, you know, the language of the tale just became so synonymous with the concept of Porter. And then some more recent adverts, one for Montreal, and then just being in 2 places at once because of the service and the convenience of City Centre Airport. Toronto ad on the left, and some New York ads on the right. And here we've recently been collaborating with a team called Lobo, some animators in Sao Paulo, and we just found them. We found them a while ago, and we've been desperate to work with them, and we were really excited to kind of get them involved with this project when Porter were asking us to kind of work on a TV campaign. So here is our first ad.
Seems closer. It starts with our city center airport, just a hop, skip, and jump away from downtown Toronto. Our Toronto City Airport is compact and modern, so there's no jostling as you breeze through check-in. And a comfortable chair is never far away. In fact, you could say the journey is close to perfect. Wherever you're going, just got closer.
Just being able to kind of see him in another dimension was so exciting, and I think I mean, there was the service focus ad which we did as well.
could imagine the perfect flight, what would it be like? Maybe after a hassle-free check-in, you'd be delightfully welcomed on board before taking your seat in a comfortable leather chair with plenty of legroom, charming staff, complimentary snacks, and a drink in a real glass. Naturally, this is an airline that gives you great value for money, but where first-class treatment comes as standard. We're thinking what you're thinking. Welcome to Porter.
Okay, I think our sound isn't working, so I might skip the next one.
We believe that traveling for business shouldn't be hard work.
So I think this brings me into the Porter Airlines in-flight entertainment system, which is ultimately there are no screens on the Porter airplanes, and the Reporter magazine is the in-flight entertainment, and it's a kind of an old-fashioned approach to in-flight entertainment in that, you know, we're creating stories and we're, you know, it's a world of photography and stories, and it's a kind of this idea of creating these aspirational, desirable destinations. So back to these are the covers that I kind of showed you earlier, but it becomes this perfect travel companion. It's about 62 pages. Or at the moment, it's 62 pages. There's obviously there's no other form of in-flight entertainment, so it needs to kind of be engaging. It's printed on uncoated paper. It's very tactile. The format just pops out of the seat back pocket. We obviously had these challenges of having to have the whole magazine in French and in English, but it was something that we ultimately embraced and became part of the graphic language for the rest of the brand. It's, yeah, I mean, a local kind of a locally inspired and informed travel briefing. So when you do pick it up, it's very much telling you about each of the destinations that you're traveling to, but it's looking at them from a very kind of trustworthy, authentic position. There's, you know, these are real people, they're real stories, and they're aspirational. And here we've been working with a series of international photographers and writers, but we do tend to look for local photographers and talent when we can. Just looking at the masthead is obviously it's a play on the overall kind of the main identity with Reporter and the Reporter. And this is just kind of, you can just an overview of some of the formats. As far as how we've kind of been evolving the photography brief for the brand, it's the way that we look at each of the destinations, whether it's Toronto or Boston. You know, we're looking at having it's an authentic tone of voice. We want to kind of build trust. These are all the stories of the brand that I've just gone through for the rest of the identity. We want to build aspiration. These places are places that you want to go. These are people that you want to meet. We want to you know, keep it kind of human, intimate where needed, and epic where you know, where possible. We've got ideally kind of based in natural light. Whenever we can capture things in natural light, we want to do it. Even when it's a rainy day, you can still get some great images sometimes, and sometimes not. So, and then we have it's intelligent. We're treating the reader in an intelligent way, where they're informed, they have a sense of humour, and so it's, yeah, we have that sense. And then there's this authority, and looking for local photographers when we do a story. Keeping the format very kind of accessible. We want the images to be accessible. The individuals that are featured need to feel accessible. There's a fun kind of surprising element to it. It's rooted in reality ultimately, and it's kind of, we want the actual images to feel like they're capturing the moment. I mean, this is probably something that you're very aware of. But it's when we send a photographer somewhere, we don't just want them to just go and shoot the places that we told them. We want them to go out and find some interesting views, some interesting perspectives, some interesting moments that we wouldn't be even aware of from where we were choosing, or even local people. It's just when a photographer goes out and does some reportage, there are so many interesting stories. And charm is something that's it's an underrated kind of word, and it's something that we're is ultimately the heart of Porter. And of course, good photographers tend to have charm, having it in spades. And we have the magazine. So this is just looking at the covers. It needs to be eye-catching, but ultimately we're not fighting with space on the newsstand. But it's the reporter pops out of the seat back pocket. You do have a few other kind of access places that you can get the magazine in the lounge. We want to kind of build this honesty, this trustworthy element. It's insightful, it's real, and it's again rooted in this kind of natural light, building kind of aspiration in real stories. I want to, it's something that you want to kind of ask yourself or question yourself and say, this is somewhere I want to go. These are people I'd like to meet. It's this kind of sense in any kind of publication. You really want to have this sense of exploration and discovery and surprise. These covers here on the left, you can see this is shot by Mackenzie Stroh of a store called Lord Willie, a menswear store in Nolita, for our neighborhood story in issue 3. And then on the right, this is a fascinating place, which is in issue 5 we did in Montreal. This was a store in Le Plateau, shot by Lorne Bridgman, and the store it's called Aviv, and is the first Canadian fresh handmade pet food store. So she's kind of rolling nice little bits of beef and things for dogs and cats, and making them look stunning. So. This is issue 6, Chicago, the Anish Kapoor bean, obviously. A little bit of a kind of low-hanging fruit for Chicago, but we saw the picture and we just thought, fantastic, brilliant, we're in Chicago, let's just take it, put it on the cover. And this was, there's a little kind of treat on the cover when you see it, and close up you can see there's a little seagull perched right in the middle on the top. And on the right-hand side, this is an incredibly handsome bearded man in St. John's, shot by Lorne Bridgman, and he's from Atlantica Restaurant, and this is his kind of catch of the day. And here we have a deer on the cover, so kind of, we were kind of just pushing ourselves and seeing what we can get away with, and this is quite a striking kind of cover, and it doesn't always have to be an individual when we're talking about certain places, and even for the issue 17, which was the 5-year anniversary of Porter, we did our first illustrated cover, because obviously people see Mr. Porter everywhere on all of the advertising, so we don't normally use him, on the cover of the magazine. So it's not usually his habitat. So for this one edition, we thought we'd do it, and we used a kind of a special foil and things for it. And then here, this is issue 7. Just a trip around. This was a photographer called Kevin Tragessa. I mean, we need to do another great shoot in Boston, of course. But this was done a while ago now. So and we got our bearded cheese guy, and he's on the cover. He's from Southend Formaggio store, and it's and then it's this ability to be able to send. I mean, in this regard, it was Kevin. Kevin's from New York, and we kind of sent him off and around town. We had a few places we wanted him to visit. But he really kind of, he found these kind of nice kind of cats here that you can see, and he just captured them and put them in his bag and took them, and we thought they looked great. So it was just a nice kind of spontaneous moment, and capturing those when walking around the streets for the photographer is key, and that personality that the photographer has is really important to be able to get people involved in these images. And of course, just going into more of the stories, I think you can see the layout. Here we've got this. It's the blue. The light blue is the French, and the dark blue is the English. But it's all, you know, we run out of space quite regularly, but we want to put as many images as we can because we get such great photography for the magazine in general that we just, you know, want to get more double-page spreads and things. But we're kind of limited to a certain degree by our format, and it's our through choice. But yeah, we'll see how it evolves in time. And this is you can just see the map that we've done for it as well for Boston. The city spotlight in St. John's. I mean, what to see, where to stay, and some kind of resident profiles. I mean, just really kind of get involved in the locations that we are. The images tell so many stories, and you can really get involved. There's a denseness to the layouts because we want this to kind of, you know, these are places that are hungry, they're busy, they're places that you want to visit, and you know, to have kind of this system of design really kind of lends itself well to that. And so there's a lot of kind of furniture around. You can see there's Mr. Porter popping up. This is the frequent flyer story. This is Don McKinnon, he's a lifetime prospecting. He spent a lifetime prospecting minerals in Canada's wilderness, which has obviously paid off for him. He's a very wealthy businessman, and he's now kind of 83 years old and still working, but he no longer travels across Canada flying his own airplanes. He's now enjoying the comforts of and convenience of Porter Airlines. So he became our frequent flyer in our latest issue 21. And in the back of all of our Porter magazines, Porter magazines, we have a Spot the Difference, which is where Mr. Porter kind of really kind of, you know, comes back again, and we have this kind of spot 20 differences. But whenever the designer shows me the differences, I might say to them, "Oh, I've spotted 21 differences." It drives them insane. And here we have, yeah. So I think just looking at Porter Airlines today, I mean, it's so successful. We're really happy that our relationship has been kind of continuing, and it's still so successful, and they're growing and growing. At 5 years old now, they're a well-loved and established brand. The fleet has grown from 1 to 24 aircraft in 5 years. It's a service that's grown from 1 to 17 routes, including Washington, D.C. and New York. A magazine that has grown from 4 issues, now we're doing six a year, and potentially we'll be growing that because there's a lot of stories to be told with all these new routes. And our role as the kind of creative partner and brand guardian with Porter is to drive the conversation, to anticipate the needs of the brand, and kind of keep evolving the offer and keep it fresh. And obviously the website still needs work. So just to kind of sum things up, I think really just it's the concept of photography and branding are really kind of intertwined. Photography is a key ingredient to building brands. The brands are stories that need to be told appropriately, and those, you know, that's kind of where our craft comes in, and photography ultimately helps build an immediate connection with its audience, and we can craft it to tell the stories that we want, but it's and that's, I mean, that's what photographers do, but it's this kind of brand from a branding perspective. The ultimate aim is to kind of to help create this sense of aspiration and inspiration around brands, and ultimately we all just love and obsessed with looking at pictures. So thank you very much.
Raise your hand, we'll get a mic to you.
What are the costs to Porter Airlines for the 6 issues a year of Reporter magazine?
So that's a very good question. We obviously don't charge enough because we love it. So I won't go into those details if you don't mind.
So when you were showing the American Express Open campaign that you guys did, you had sort of all the branding, everything like that, and then you had the American Express logo. What sort of challenges do you have when you're not starting something from scratch and can do the detailed branding on everything from the ground up, but where you're incorporating, an existing logo, American Express or whatever, into a new campaign that you're working on that you're sort of rebranding?
I mean, there's always that point where you have to kind of start by learning about the brand, and you have this kind of full kind of immersion in who they are and what they want to do, and ultimately, if they're not changing their logo, it's not the end of the world. We might encourage people if it's not working, but there are some brands that are fantastic, and you shouldn't be tampering with their logos. But yeah, with American Express in particular, it's been a kind of an evolving brand, to say the least. It's moving constantly, and there's a lot of teams involved there, and so we've kind of really just been working on the photography side of things, and helping them kind of define the stories, build the relationships with the card members, and it's yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world working with brands that already exist, but it's thrilling to be working with brands that are starting from scratch as well. So,
more questions? Okay, I think we have a last question back there.
I'm kind of surprised that I really like the Porter Airline branding that you did, but I'm kind of surprised that the raccoon graphic is great. I'm surprised that you didn't use that on the tail of the plane. It seemed like almost the perfect graphic to put on the tail of the plane, the tail of the raccoon.
We actually kind of, I think, in the early days of the brand, we kind of shied away from using Mr. Porter too much. I mean, it wasn't a conscious decision from our side, but there was definitely a hesitation to kind of go all out. This is brand Mr. Porter. So the tail really, we still need to keep Mr. Porter. Get him involved when we need him to, but ultimately he's there to support the brand, and the tail fin is a discrete kind of piece of design that I think we're very proud of. But it's definitely it's something it's iconic, and we're very happy with it. So yeah.
Any more questions? Well, I'd like to thank Maurus Fraser for quite an education in branding. Really appreciate your time. And I hope you'll all stick around for our next panel, which is called The Secrets to Getting Your Work Seen and Exhibited. Please make sure you look at the work on the walls down here, the Humble Arts, the Aileen Smithson, and Maxine Helfman, and go upstairs to see the show there, including the Printed Matter and Indie Photo Library. At 7 o'clock tonight, we have the opening of the Flash Forward 2011 Group Show Exhibition, and we hope you all come to that. Please tell your friends, come back, continue on with us. We go through Saturday, and thank you all very much for being here, and thank you to our live stream audience as well. Thank you to our sponsors, TD Bank and Fairmont Battery Wharf.